Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rusty 78609. I'm out for a drive. I'll show you a little different look of New Mexico. This is Highway 246. It goes, you can go all the way around from Capitan to Roswell. It's about an 80-mile drive. Takes you through Encinoso, which is nothing, just a building, and then to Pine Spring, which is not much more. But yeah, I'm going to do a 360 while I'm standing here, and then we'll take a drive and you'll see some more. But basically over here to the left, which would be the south, you've got the mountains of New Mexico, okay? So we'll go on around here, and that's pretty. And they got huge ranches out here, man. Some of these ranches have got to have 100,000 acres or more. But be that as it may, this is a ranch. This is the El Capitan Ranch, big ranch. And but yeah, what you've got now, when you look this way, is that's the high plains of New Mexico that goes into, around Lubbock, Texas, Amarillo, and then all the way up in Nebraska and so forth. But the high plains, man, it's just miles and miles and miles and miles and nothing. When you leave Las Vegas, New Mexico, going east, you think you fell off the edge of the earth. But having said that, we talk about the overpopulation of the world. The overpopulation of the world is the overpopulation of large cities, not necessarily the whole earth. You see, the population density within 100 miles of where I am right now is one, me. So anyway, we'll get back here and I'll put the phone back in the holder, and then we'll get on the road here if I don't cut it off accidentally as we go. But yeah, we'll take old Sparky. We're getting about 47.6 miles a gallon, so I ain't complaining. There you go, we're in. Now I'll put my little brace up there, my little towel that I've rolled up that I put just under it, just to put enough pressure on it so that it doesn't shake. I'm going to turn it off to the right up a little bit, and so that way you can see a little bit different look of New Mexico. But that's, basically this is it's like West Texas out around Alpine, Fort Davis, Marathon, Marfa, same thing. You'd see the same type terrain. And so here we go. And away we go. Come on, Sparky. Well, let's put it this way. I've driven about 20-something miles on this road, and I've seen one car, all right? And I've been parked there for about, 15 minutes just listening to the sound of silence. And there's nothing out here, guys. But there are big ranches out here, man. And if you grew up in an environment like this, you'd have a whole different outlook on this planet. You know what I mean? As opposed to somebody that grew up in a large city that there's just no way that they could communicate. This person's been sitting out looking at beautiful sky at night where you can just touch the stars, and the person in the cities, the large cities, they haven't even seen the stars. They don't even know they're there unless they watch a YouTube video. And the same way with the moon and other things. And if they're able to travel, of course, they've been exposed to a lot of different things. But there's just so many differences. We're looking at the world from so many different perspectives that I'm surprised that we get along as well as we do. And another thing that occurred to me as I was driving out here, and I'm thinking about, the quote, overcrowding that only exists in large metropolitan areas. The reason that's occurring, of course, is, people can no longer live off of small tracts of land. In other words, they might be able to exist off a small tract of land. In other words, with a garden and a few animals, they might be able to exist, but they're not going to have any money unless they barter to purchase things, But do they need things? That's their choice. I don't know. But I don't know what the population of New York City is. Somewhere 20 million, I guess, in that range. That's just pure shot in the dark. But the New York metro area's got to be 20 million. It could be more, it could be a little less. Don't know. But if it's in that range, which I suspect it is, just think of that. You got 20 million people flushing toilets, eating food, getting gasoline for the few that own cars, and we are able to supply that through the infrastructure in that city. And the same way in Tokyo, Japan, same way in Beijing, China, same way in Shenzhen, China, same way in Mexico City, Dallas, Texas metro area, Houston metro area, Los Angeles metro area, San Francisco metro area, on and on and on and on and on. And the infrastructure in those communities, all of those that I just mentioned, and many, 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 many more, that infrastructure is wearing out, okay? Without continually renewing it, then you got a problem. And then that brings me to the next point as how that kind of mirrors the human body, in that the human body is continuously renewing itself, and we have to do that with our cities and our infrastructure all over the world, or else we clog up and that section dies. So what does that have to do with RVing and living in peace and harmony? I just got a message the phone is already overheating, so I'm going to take it out of here and just hold it in my hand, because there's no traffic around here, so it ain't no big deal. So let me get a position here that's a little better. Anyway, moving right along, you'll get to see the mirror. How about that? And but anyway, there's nothing around here, no cars, but I'm just thinking out loud, and that's one of the things I like to do. See, on drives like this, and I recommend them to anybody that if you have a spot like this, you can do it. Take a drive, because your mind, it frees up. There's no interference. It's like static on a radio. You don't have any out here, and so you can start thinking out of the box, I guess you'd say. And is that good? Sure it is, because then you begin to feel a little better about yourself in the world, because you begin to understand it a little more. There are issues and problems in the world, all over the world, but there's also a lot of good things. Name one. Well, if you've got good health, that's a damn good one right there. But you can look out here. There's one house up here. This is a little community of Encinoso community. It's one family, okay, and they live across the road from the old building that's here. I'm not sure if it was a church or a school, but I'll show you. I'll drive by slow, and since I have the phone out of the holder, I can just spin around and show it to you. But here we come in. It's pronounced Encinoso, and in Spanish that means you're lost and lonely and you're in trouble. No, I don't know what it means. On the right is the family, and then over here, let me get the thing where I can show you. This is the old Encinoso. I don't know what that is. Is that a church? Whatever it is, that old building. You can there's no fence, right? So you can drive to it and walk around, and then there's another old building over here that finally fell in. It was standing here a few years ago. I guess some winds blew it down. But moving right along here, let me shift into I got to get into another gear where I can go here. Come on, Sparky. Well, we're getting 47.6 miles to the gallon right now. That's an iAudi phone holder right there. It works pretty good. For this phone, or the Pixel phones, it works pretty good. Let's see if I can find a way. Would you rather look there? No, that'd make you dizzy. Look like this. Let's hold it like this. I'll try to get the iAudi out of the picture. But anyway, we're kind of in the just on the edge of the high plains here, and so. But again, driving on these lonely roads, as you can see, we have not seen a car yet, and we probably won't see any all the way back to Capitan. If we see one, I'd be surprised. So that would be, for me, about a 40-mile round trip on a road. It's Highway 246 out of Capitan. 40 miles without seeing. I've seen one car. It was a pickup, one of the ranch trucks going into Capitan. Looked like probably going to get groceries for the month or the year. But could you live out here? Everybody talks about going boondocking and stuff. Well, but I didn't see any signs. I don't know if this is Bureau of Land Management land or National Forest on the left or not. but it's wide open spaces, babe. And RVing, there's plenty of land for it. In other words, if the BLM opened up all of its land for RVs and other stuff, that'd be great. The reason they don't is because they have leases, or they lease land to large ranchers, and they also have places that are wildlife habitats they don't want to disturb, which I understand, and also RVers and campers and these off-road vehicles and stuff. Some of them, not just a small percentage, don't have any couth. They leave trash, they destroy stuff, they cut down trees. They're not supposed to chop wood, and so the BLM, as the steward for our resources, our land resources, it's incumbent upon them to say, okay, we've let you use it, you destroyed it, so now you can't use it anymore. It's like a kid, it's like raising kids. Here, Tommy, you can play with this hammer, but don't break out all the windows. The first thing Tommy does is goes and breaks out the windows. Why? Because he just wants to see what happens when he breaks one. And that's what happens on BLM land. People get out on their off-road vehicles, and I'm not picking on them because there are places that they allow it, and I think they ought to use them there. Places that they don't allow it, they shouldn't. How about that? And but you get, if it was just a few, it'd be fine. But unfortunately, what we've got now are hundreds of thousands of RVers that are, hey man, we want a piece of this freedom and sunsets and living cheap, and they're doing it. Look out here, isn't this beautiful? This is you can't really see it as clear as I can, but that's the high plains there, and let me see if I can zoom a little bit, and then I'll put it back over so you can see it. Let's see if maybe this won't be too bad. But yeah, that's just miles and miles and miles of desolation. Okay? Hundreds of miles. You could probably go, I don't know, I'm not going to guess because I don't know, but I'd probably say you could probably go across there 300 miles and see nothing, and a lot of it. So whenever you have an opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to enjoy your life, I enjoy this. See, that's, a lot of people would think, my God, man, what are you doing out there? There ain't nobody there. What are you going to go pet the snakes? Not really. But man, it's just, this to me is this is freedom to me. This is enjoyable, and that's why I go to places like this, and Big Bend and Llano. There's a road 152 that leaves, goes, I guess it's west out of Llano. Nobody's hardly on it, and then you can hit some of the old county roads and do just what I'm doing here, and I enjoy that. So I go places where I can do things I enjoy, and I recommend that you do the same thing. I sat this morning. I took a good walk this morning for about an hour. It was a nice morning, and then I came back and sat down and read for 30, 45 minutes. And then it occurred to me, why don't I just take a good old drive, And so that's what I'm doing now. But how many cars have you seen? How many cars have you counted in this whole video? And this video right now has been going about, let me see, about 14 minutes, and we haven't seen a car. Nothing. We haven't seen anything that reminds you of human life other than me talking and the car I'm in, and that little building back there in Sonoso. But that's the way it is out here, man. This is, if there's a population problem, a growth in population problem, they ain't out here. Again, it's all in the large cities. And why do I even mention that? Well, because we hear a lot of statistics that the population of the world is growing so fast it's going to cause it's growing fast. Well, it's not anymore. It's actually leveled off and declining now, because as the world gets educated through the use of the internet, the birth rates have declined dramatically all over the world, including India and China. And in fact, China just recently opened up their It used to be you could have birth rate. You could have one child. Now they've gone to 3, and the reason is their birth rates are declining at such a rate that they said, whoops, we put on the brake. Now we got to take the brake off. We've got to let these people start multiplying, or we'll have some economic issues. So with that in mind, guys, if you need a place to go chill out, this road right here, 246 from Capitan to the back road, I guess you'd say, to Roswell, would do it. You'd have a full 2 hours of nothing. You know what I mean? But when I say nothing, you damn sure have none. You don't have any cell phone reception either. None. Zero. Zilch. I mean, when you get within about 5 miles of Capitan, you pick up Verizon. But yeah, there's a road that goes here to the right, a ranch road. It's maintained by the county, I think. But I don't know how far. It goes out there a few hundred miles out in this stuff. I mean, it goes to these old ranches. I mean, how would you like to be a rancher's wife, or just be the rancher or one of the kids? What are you going to do today, Tommy? Oh, I don't know. I thought I'd walk a few hundred miles around the ranch. Yo, wouldn't that be fun? And the wife, let's just say she's a beautiful woman, and no one sees her. It doesn't do any. A woman. Well, I don't know, but maybe men do too. I don't know. I'm not too concerned about it. But women like to be seen. They like to dress up and go do things. I'm trying to do all these gears with one hand. But, there you are, a nice-looking woman, and out in the middle of this, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you're watching yourself dry up like a prune. Yeah, that's and it happens to the kids too. I mean, I grew up on a farm. We were pretty well isolated when I was a kid, and there was nobody for me to play with, other than what I could make up in my own mind. And maybe that's why I'm like I am today, because my childhood for the first 5-6 years was basically alone, because my sisters and brothers were older than me, 4 to 6 years older, and they were in school. And I was out there on the farm.